Good morning, traders. Good morning, Patreon members. First, let me thank you for your continued support and watching these videos. Hopefully, they're helpful to you. Today is another trade day. We're going to try to capture some live trades. No editing whatsoever. You're seeing everything happen as I'm doing it. That's my alarm. I just decided to set my phone alarm for the market open, and I have one set for 10:30 to tell me when my trading time is up. So right now, we're going to start off as normal. I've already done all the prep. There is a video on Patreon showing that kind of step by step. I do that every single day before I trade. Now I'm looking at my Webull desktop platform, but on my laptop, which you cannot see, and I've got my screener open. And we do have something here in RGV. So we're going to pull it up and check it on the daily chart. It looks impressive on the screener, but yeah, it doesn't have a 200 MA line. Oh no, does it? It was hidden here. So it's trading above 200 MA. So we can look at it. Let's see what the high was in the pre-market was 2350. So we're going to mark out our first level there that needs to be broken before we can even consider taking a trade. So we've got that one done. And let's see if there's anything else. And here is KPTI, which looks good and has just under 500,000 shares of volume, but I'm sure in the next few seconds it'll creep up over that level. So we'll go ahead and look at it on the daily chart. At least there is some stocks to look at today. So this is nice. Yes, it looks extended over here on the daily chart, but it is up above the 200 MA, so it meets all of the requirements. So we're still going to keep an eye on it, see where the high. So it already broke the previous high, which is right here. So we might get triggered on an entry here pretty soon. All right. So it's 1244 actually. That's okay. Doesn't really matter that much here. So now we're looking for the second high, which if this candle stays red or doesn't overtake that 1234 level or 1334 level, it will be the new high. This thing looks kind of crazy. It looks like it might halt or something. It's already up over 10%. Definitely has the volume, 600,000 shares now. So there's our second high of day. I'm sorry, that is our first high of day after breaking through the previous session high. So now all we need to see again, that may not be the first high of day, but I'm going to go ahead and put out a white line because we want to remind ourselves. So it's still going higher. So they're still waiting for the first pullback. One thing you want to, if you're following my videos, you're following my plan, then you wouldn't even consider doing something like I'm about to describe. But just a reminder, if you're new and you're not following my plan or my strategy, it's extremely dangerous to jump in while these things are taking off like this. A little glitch on the chart there. See if I can get it to refresh it. Yeah, very dangerous to jump in while these things are going up because they're very unpredictable. You never know when they reverse. They usually don't do this, so this is not something reliable that you can, get into every single day. So it's better always at the bare minimum to wait for one pullback. In my plan, I kind of have like two highs that need to be established and then two pullbacks, right? So then after the second pullback, once there's a sign of going back up, that's when we get in. That's that ABCD pattern. So this one we're just going to have to be patient with, let it do its thing. Obviously, it's very strong. So there's no concern, about is this thing really strong or not. Of course, we still don't know if our setup is going to work, if the trade is going to work. In fact, I'm almost guaranteed to lose my first entry, my first trade, because that's what our statistics tell us so far after 63 trades. Let's just make sure I am recording. Good. Okay, not muted. Well, at least this is a much more active video than I've been releasing so far, because the market has just kind of been dead. Well, the whole market, definitely the small cap market. So this looks like we're finally going to get our first pullback. I'm going to put KPTI on a single chart because you can see that NRGV is doing nothing. Excuse me. So let's make this KPTI. So this looks crazy, right? But this is what small caps do often, especially when there's energy. You can see the volume. As I scroll through each candle, if you look up over here, you can see the volume. Now, one issue with Webull is that first 1 minute candle, the volume is not very reliable. It seems to, I don't know, it just doesn't really compare to the volume on other platforms. So it can be very deceiving, but the volume afterwards is accurate, or seems to be at least. Matches other platforms, so that's one guarantee. So here is our first high after breaking through the previous session high. That's pretty obvious. This is a very cut and dry pattern. This is such a clean move. I expect the pullback to be clean, but we don't know. We'll see what happens. It might chop around. I'm sure there's a ton of traders right now waiting on the sidelines, waiting to jump into this thing. They're waiting for that right opportunity. I'm sure as a 1 minute candle makes a new high, we're going to see a lot of volume jump in and buy and try to push this thing back up. I'd be shocked if that doesn't happen. Of course, anything can happen in the stock market, and as soon as you think you have it figured out, it surprises you. So we'll see. We're right now looking at the screener still. This is the number 3 stock organized by volume, excuse me, on my small cap screener. Now number 2. So here we go. I bet you, well, we'll see. If this candle gets over the top of this candle, this is where we'll see a lot of traders jump in. But just the fact that this candle, the wick is already higher than this low, is going to tempt some traders. It looks like a higher low, but it's too early to tell. It's only a quarter of the way into this 1 minute candle. But this is why you're going to see some kind of fighting for price here, is because this thing has a higher wick at the bottom. Now, if this thing, you're going to see this thing pop if it gets out over this 1373 level, if it hasn't done it. So it's at 1370 is where the high is. We can pull this closer to the price bubble over here. Easier to visualize everything. All right, so that's a sign of weakness right now, but we don't know. I mean, actually, it's a consolidation, but we'll see. Again, I'm just kind of trying to give you play-by-play, but this is not stuff to base a trade off of. It's much more important to look at the overall pattern, and that's what my plan is based on, because these kind of 1 minute candle changes are not very reliable. So it's much better to look at the overall picture. That's what we're doing. But as soon as I can almost guarantee you, as soon as a 1 minute candle makes a new high, you're going to see some sort of pop, not necessarily back to the previous high or breakthrough. It may do that, but that's where you're gonna see the first set of traders jump in. This is a very nice, reasonable pullback. Notice it's not as steep an angle as the the upside, basically from A to B of the ABCD pattern. So that's showing that there's still a lot of strength and energy in this stock. Again, it's not guaranteed. So the high here is 1346 on the 1356. So if this thing hits 1357, we should see some sort of a pop. But again, we're not trading that. We're waiting for the second high. So we're waiting for kind of a longer term confirmation that this thing wants to keep going even higher. There is nothing else on the screener to look at anyway, so that's kind of a good thing. I'm going to restart Webull on my laptop while this is playing out. We're not anywhere near taking an entry, so we don't have to obsess over it just yet. Yeah, there's nothing else, so this is really the only thing to watch, which is good. It's got 1.4 million shares of volume. The average volume on this stock is only 2.65, so that is a very strong sign. Again, no guarantees, but I do like to see that. So the high of this candle here is 1350, and it's the first green candle after the pullback, so this may inspire some traders to jump in. And then if this thing breaks 1351, if this candle breaks it, we'll definitely see a pop. So let's keep an eye on the price bubble. Let's watch for 1351. Again, this is just like a play-by-play for fun, since we finally have something interesting going on. Now you might be asking yourself, is this like a pump and dump or something? I mean, this thing, remember, looked really strong on the daily chart, so I don't think that's the case. This may be like the last day of the big move. That could be a possibility, and that's why we wait for a second high of day to see if this thing really is strong. And if it isn't, then we just don't take a trade. All right, so notice that not one of these candles made a new high. And now we're selling off. The retracement still hasn't come down to like a 50% level. It's heading toward that. So this is the bottom, either here or here, of the ABCD pattern, and this is the top. All right, so 50% is somewhere around here where it is right now. And there are some traders that won't enter until there's a certain amount of pullback, and won't enter if it pulls back even further or something like that. But for me, I just like to keep it a lot simpler than that. We just put a line out here. So this is going to be where I decide this stock is not trade worthy anymore. If, like, let's say this pullback continues, if it drops below this red line, then I don't want anything to do with it, even though I'm sure it's going to have another pop to the upside at some point. But I'm not interested in that. I want to see some real strength, after this pullback, a new high established, and then another pullback, and that's where we get in after that pullback. So we'll see what happens. Just keep watching for now. Still have not seen a single 1 minute new high, but it might happen on this candle. The high here is 1316. And again, this is why you don't just jump in early and think, well, this might be the candle that it reverses on, like say this first green candle here. Look what happened. It lost a lot of price in that time. So here we go. Finally broke over the previous 1 minute candle high. So we should see a move to the upside. And then this level here should become support. Excuse me. I'm putting this line out prematurely. This doesn't really mean anything to our strategy yet, but we're just going to place this here for fun to see if this level does hold up. Excuse me. Still waiting for some continuation. We'll see. This could have been a fake breakout. Those happen all the time. But we just don't know. You just don't know. So if you're a trader and you bought in for the break of that 1 minute candle, that is not a dumb trade at all, because the break of that 1 minute candle is a sign of reversal, especially after this move. This is a beautiful pattern here. So this is a good trade if you jumped into it after that 1 minute candle made a new high, but you absolutely must have a reasonable stop loss in place. And if it were part of my plan to jump in there, then my stop loss would have been the low of this candle or just below it. So the low here is 1303, so I would have had a stop at 1302. And I would place my profit target. We can actually put that in the calculator just for fun while we're waiting here. So 1317 would have been our ideal entry. There's no guarantee we would have got that, and I think I said 1302, and the 2-hour profit target would be 1347, which is definitely possible. That's only right here, right now, where I have my my cursor out. In fact, I'll put a line out just for fun. We'll see if it gets hit before the stop loss. Now, my statistics tell me this trade is going to stop out, that it's about a 3 to 1 chance of stopping out. But this is an unusually clean move, so this one could be the one that kind of beats the statistic. Oh, let's see what happens here. I'm going to mute for just a moment. All right, so you can see that this one did follow the statistics that I'm tracking. Or that first trigger to get in only has about a 25% chance of working out, so it did not work out. We'll take this line off the chart. And this could be the second entry if it breaks over the high here, so 1325. Again, this is all theoretical. My entry is after the second high has been established. So we're just kind of trying to entertain ourselves here while we're waiting for our setup to happen. By the way, looks like NRGV, which is the #1 stock on the screener. So here we go. So this, again, if we were playing the first high, then this would have been our first entry. We would have been stopped out, which would be expected, and this would be our second entry. Now that first entry that I'm talking about, that only has a 25% chance of working out, you might be asking, well, why would you even take it? And the answer to that is you wouldn't. We're only taking it because that's what the original plan says to do, and we're trying to test this thing to 100 trades. As soon as we have those 100 trades, we're going to remove the weak spots of the plan, and one of those is that first entry. So once the plan is really in place with full position size, this would have just been a signal. We would have watched it, and we would have marked out where the stop loss would be, wait for the stop loss to get triggered, and then get in over here on the next one. So we could check that one out now and see what happens on that trade. So there's the low. Again, this is the first entry. Again, this is not in the plan. Sorry, not first entry, but this is after the first high. So even this is not going to be part of the plan. This is all hypothetical. But it should kind of mimic the same thing that happens. I don't know. We'll see. I'm tracking really after the second high, but this is just for fun. So the high of this candle is 1317. So let's put in 1318, and the low is 1301. So the stop's 13. So 1318 is almost the same trade. And that happens a lot, by the way. 1352. So let's see if that profit target gets hit. It's very close. It's come very close to it, but it has to actually hit it. So, but it's looking like it could, and it should. I mean, statistically it should. I think this one has about a 50% chance of working out, maybe a little higher, 60%. I'll have to look at the stats today. But anyway, it's more than enough to be profitable, because when you're trading a 2-to-1 profit target, you only need a 33% win rate to break even. Anything above that, even 34, 35% after you take a lot of trades, is profitable. If you can get it to about 40%, that's really profitable. I believe you're up about if I remember correctly, about 20R after 100 trades, something like that. But we'll see. So far with the plan that we're trading right now, if we leave that first entry out and use it as a signal, we'd be up 25R at this point. Actually more now, slightly more. No, it would be 25R, sorry. And if we were holding the 3R, we'd be up about 30R right now. So let's see. So it looks like this profit target is going to get hit. It's only 2 cents away. So it's interesting how these statistics work. Not saying that they're foolproof. Obviously, they're not. The second entry works 50 to 60% of the time. There it worked. Interesting that it had such a big pop there, too. So now we're waiting. We still don't know if this thing really is strong yet. We need to see a new high established. We need to see a high higher than that. Is it 1398? Yeah, I need to move that yellow line a little bit. So this thing's still got a ways to go. Lots of buying on this 1 minute candle, which is kind of surprising, to be honest with you, that because it looks so overextended here. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little pullback after this, but you never know. I don't like to predict these things because you just can't tell, and this is not how we trade anyway. We don't try to predict what every single 1 minute candle is going to do. We're looking more at the larger pattern. Taking a trade off of the first high is definitely a reasonable plan and strategy, but it's something that would need to be tested. That's what I was doing with the mid-cap stocks, and it didn't work out enough to where I wanted to continue that with the small cap, so that's why I changed it to let me wait till a second high is established, and then after that pullback, then I'll take an entry. And that's why we're doing what we're doing right now. But small caps are different than mid caps, so this would definitely be a viable strategy to test. But I do kind of like waiting for that second high because it just puts you later in the day when things are more established, things are more reliable. I'm just going to mute for just a moment here. So one other interesting thing, one thing we're tracking is how often the 3R target gets hit. Again, this was a hypothetical entry, not the entry for the plan, but it looks like the 3R target got hit from that entry as well. We'll check it right now. Yeah, very easily. So it got hit right around here. Switches back to 2 just so we're ready. We can clear these prices out. This calculator is super handy. It just gives me a feeling of confidence when I'm trading because I know that I'm not going to make any silly math errors. And that's important, especially if you're trading a very volatile small cap stock, which can really move a lot in a short amount of time. So let's zoom out for a second and get like a bigger picture of what's going on here on this 1 minute chart, because this is pretty much exactly what we want to happen. Not to say that the trade we take is going to work out. In fact, the first entry is more than likely to fail. But here we go. Here is kind of the first ABCD pattern, point A, point B, and then the C is pretty much like a perfect pullback. Here we go. There's our new high. So we got to get ready. We're going to be taking an entry right after the first pullback, which we don't know if this is the second high. It might go higher still. we're just going to have that kind of in place, ready to mark out our second high day. But so far, this thing is looking really, really strong. There's the real strength, right? So remember I said I'd rather wait. I mean, look how much more volume we have on this candle. 200,000 shares already. So what I'm going to do is wait for the pullback from this level. Wow, this thing might halt, actually. This could be a very tricky trade if it goes into a halt and then we have to wait for it to come out of a halt. This is a big move. Usually the threshold for a halt is, I think, a 10% move within 1 minute or something like that. I don't remember the halt rules off the top of my head, but it's something like that, and that would be around $1.30, $1.40 increase. So let's see what's the range of this candle, 41 cents. So we might be all right. That's pretty far from 10% move. Yeah, and you could also see just the percentage change over here when I hover over the candle. This one went up 3%. I mean, that's still a pretty crazy move. This is what we like about the small cap stocks. So just waiting for that. I don't even really need to follow it up like that. Just waiting for that second high to be established. This could be at that 1450. So now we want to see the pullback, and we're going to get in the first 1 minute candle that makes a new high. Could be the candle after this one, which, you know, is not like the best feeling ever. And again, we pretty much know our first entry is going to fail here, but we are so far into this strategy that it doesn't make any sense whatsoever to change it at this point. We're only trading with one single share, so we're not worrying about losing money or anything like that. We're just collecting data. And we're just going to keep taking the same exact trades on every single trade day until we get to 100 trades. Otherwise, our data is going to be all messed up. So anyway, let me get kind of ready here. So what we would need to see happen, and it definitely could happen on the next candle, is a high, not a high, but we need to see 1450. So I'm looking over here when I hover over this candle. If I see 1450 on this next candle, then we have to take the trade. Again, it's like a 3-to-1 chance that it's going to fail. So it's much more likely to fail than work out, but either way, we're taking the trade. Actually, if the first entry fails, it's kind of better for this plan. But, you know, we just don't know. We'll have to see what happens here. That will make more sense later on once we finish this thing and I get to explain everything. Just make sure I'm not muted. Yeah, good. Okay, so now if on the next candle we want to see a 1437, if we see 1437, then that's our trigger to get in. And I already have my fingers on the hotkeys. For me, that's Control Z. So I'm like ready to go here as soon as I get that price. And only when I get that price will I hit those hotkeys. 1437 is what I want to see. And this is why, you know, you don't try to catch a falling knife, because you don't know how low these things are going to go when they start to pull back. I'm sure there was a lot of traders that jumped in during this pullback here. Looks like it's stalling there. Oh. I wish it would keep your scale when you refresh the chart, but it is what it is. All right, so now we're waiting for 1418. We got to get ready. It could happen any second now. 1418, I'm looking at the price bubble. Again, this will be our first entry, and this one is likely to fail, but it's part of the plan. We have to take it. 1418, just watching this price bubble Looks like it's going to come any second now. 14.18. We're about 6 cents away on that 14.12. Got my fingers on the hotkeys. As soon as I see 14.18 or more, I got to hit those hotkeys. Don't leave your cursor over the previous candle because you may get treated. Okay, now we got to get in for 14.15. We got a new low. So again, don't just jump in as soon as you see the first one, the first green candle or something like that. You definitely want to wait for some sort of confirmation. So now our entry, our ideal entry is 14.15. So again, keeping an eye on the price bubble. 14.15 or better. That's a strong looking candle. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but let's see what happens here. 14.15 or better. And then our stop loss will be just below that candle. $14.15 or better. I'm saying it for myself so that I don't forget. That's important too, because you could definitely forget and then take the wrong entry trigger. Now, if this candle closes, which is about to, we're going to be looking for 14.10. Okay, 14.10 or better. And this is a consolidation area now, so our stop loss will be at the low of that consolidation area. $14.10 or better. This thing definitely seems like it's going to go back up because of this consolidation area, but we'll see. You always got to be, whoa, there we go. Now we got some slippage there, not too bad, like 3 cents. We got to, again, if I wasn't talking, could I have done better? Maybe. Let's see, now we got to use the calculator. 14.13, we got to get this done pretty quick here because this thing is a fast mover, man. 14.49. Wow, just under the high, the previous high. Now that's because of our slippage that we took. If and this is trade number 1. I expect this trade to fail under normal circumstances, but this stock is pretty crazy, so this one might work out. Yesterday, our first entry worked out as well, so our statistics are getting skewed by that a little bit, but we'll see. We still got like 30, I guess after this trade, 36 more trades to go to finish the test, so things could change. We'll see. Not likely though. Anyway, one thing I need to do is check our ideal entry, which would have been 14.10. Now this is super important. 14.40 would have been that profit target. Now if that gets hit and we get stopped out, we have to stop trading, because what that means is that the trade we wanted worked out, but we weren't able to execute it. We got some slippage. So we'll see what happens here. All right, so for now, I'm just going to mute and let the trade play out. There's nothing else for me to say. The trade is done at this point. Looks like the ideal profit target might get hit. We'll see. Now, once you're in these trades, it's important to double check everything, especially if you're newer, but even if you're not, especially this one has a lot of intensity going on. So just make sure that you did everything right. So first of all, our entry was triggered here at 1410, and the stop loss is the low of this consolidation area. The low of this candle, I'm hovering over it and looking over here at these stats. The low of that candle is 1396, so that means that I want my stop loss at 1395. It is. I don't see any reason whatsoever to give it a little more room. I find if these stop losses get hit, it just goes much further down, and that more room you give it would just make you lose more money. So that's after taking many trades with this system. So this is all the room it needs. If it can't hit, our profit target before coming down hitting the stop loss, then it's not going to help to have a bigger stop loss. And you got to remember, if you increase that stop loss, you have to increase your profit target. Otherwise, you're not trading 2-to-1 anymore. That's an extremely important fact. So remember that statistically, this trade should fail. It's got a 3-to-1 chance of failing. So that's about 25% of the time it's going to work out. But this could be that 25%. We'll see. If any stock is going to do it, it's going to be this one. But it looks like it might fall into the statistics. We'll see. I should mute because I'm just drinking coffee. So let's see what happens. All right, looks like we could get stopped out here. Again, it's totally expected, not worried about it at all. If it does happen, we have 2 more trades that we have to take, up to 2 more trades, I should say. The next entry, if the next entry works out, which statistically it's very likely that the next entry will work out if we do get stopped out here, then we're all done. But if the next trade fails, then we're good to go. We're all done for the day. But this is looking, I don't know, we'll see. This candle's still very young. Here we go. Should be stopped out here. That's weird. There we go. Okay, now we're just waiting for the next entry. So remember, we were expecting that to happen. The next entry is 1408 as of right now. And then our stop loss will be the low of this candle. And we need to define where the stock is too weak to trade. So obviously this wasn't point C. We're waiting for point C to be established, but where is point A of this ABCD pattern? It's way down here actually. So it's at that 1301. So as long as the price doesn't go down, you need to get ready. 1408, and then if this candle closes, well, it's still early. Okay, 1408 or better. Got my hands on the hotkeys. All right, now this could be tricky. We're waiting for this candle to close. The high is 1402, so if we see 1403 or better, 1404 or better, we'll get in. Got to get ready. It's going to be fast. 1404 or better. Just staring at that price bubble. There we go. 1404. It did hit 1404. We got a little bit of slippage. I'm going to move my stop loss in place. That's the most important thing to do, because this thing could flush like crazy. Yeah, you can see it hit 1404. We got 1402, which is not really ideal. I'll explain that. So 1402. And the stop loss is 1384, 1438. So statistically speaking, this trade should work, but we'll see. That nothing is guaranteed. Even if something has a 99% chance of working, which this doesn't, but even if that's the case, you could still lose. So this trade should, again, I got to open up my spreadsheet. I think it's somewhere around 60% so far after 60-something trades that this trade works out. So that's far from a guarantee. We'll just see what happens here. Okay, so let me explain why getting in cheaper than you wanted to is not a great thing, because what happens is we have the statistics to prove that this trade is more than likely to work out, right? So basically what we have done is just reduced the amount of profit in the trade, because we caught 2 cents slippage in the down direction. Our profit target would have been 1444, so that's a difference of 6 cents per share. So if you're trading, like 100 shares or something, what is that, $6, I guess. If you're trading 1,000 shares, $60 difference. You get the idea. Of course, those are huge numbers, but that's why it's not a great thing to get. Oh, I got a deal. I got a bargain on this entry. No, if your statistics say that's the entry to be in and that's going to work out more than likely, then you want to get your ideal entry price, which for me was 1404, because the high of this candle here was 1403. So this is trade number 2. If this trade fails, we have to still take another entry. There's always the possibility that we could have a max loss day. Nothing is guaranteed, and we just have to wait and see what happens. So I'm going to mute right now. We'll just let it play out. Wow, that was quick. So again, the statistics say that shouldn't happen, but it did. So you can always be surprised. Things can work outside of your statistics. So it's so important to have those stop losses in place, because you just don't know. You can't say, well, that trade should work out, so I'm just going to go all in. I'm not going to use a stop or whatever. So now we have to get ready for the next entry. Actually, we could have to, oh gosh, shoot. Yeah, we just missed it. So that candle just made a new high. Wow, actually we got our ideal entry. So I guess that's the problem with trying to talk and do this at the same time. Now this is kind of a crazy trade. This is the last trade. No matter what, we got to stop at this point. If this trade fails, we're out for the day. But this did meet all of the criteria to take an entry when we had to take it according to our plan, and we had to put our target in place, 1464. It's way up there now. This thing will have to make a huge move to get up there, but it's according to plan, and we can't break our plan. That's the most important thing, no matter how crazy the trade looks. And it looks like we're going to get stopped out here for a -3R day, which is always possible. Oh, the stop loss. Oh no, yeah. Let's see. It should have been hit actually already. I was just trying to make sure that I put my stop loss in the right place. And I did, but it just didn't get filled. All right, there we go. So that's it. So minus 3R, not a big deal. Obviously, this thing did not match the statistics that we've been collecting so far, but hey, it is what it is. And this is how you handle losing trades. Simple as that. So anyway, hopefully this video is helpful to you. I am kind of considering releasing this on YouTube, even though this is supposed to be a Patreon exclusive video, because this is probably the most exciting live trading video that I've had yet since I've been making these. And we'll see what happens. But either way, let me know if you have any questions about this trade or the plan or anything else. Unfortunately, things did not work out today. That is definitely going to happen. I'm sure that you're thinking, well, why don't you take this entry back here? That's not the entry that we're testing, so we can't. So anyway, it is what it is, and we'll just put it down on the spreadsheet, and it'll go into our analysis when we're all done with these 100 trades. So, all right, as always, go into every single trade with a plan, stick to it no matter what. Always take your stop losses, honor your profit target, and in the long run, you should be green. Take care.